What's going on, everybody? Just leaving the gym here on this Friday morning and got a tip from one of my bourbon groups on Facebook that one of the local liquor stores got a drop of some of those harder to find Buffalo Trace products. Not sure if they still have anything left, but heard they had Hancock's Reserve, Caribou Crossing, Eagle Rare, and some of those special reserve Wellers. Not something I'm looking for, but I am on the hunt for a Hancock's Reserve, especially at MSRP. So we're going to go check out this liquor store in Covington, Kentucky, Liquor Barn Express, and see if we can walk away with anything special. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing some more bourbon hunts here over the next couple of weeks, and you're not going to want to miss out. So here we go. That's what we came here for. Hancock's Reserve, Liquor Barn on the bag, so I'm assuming that that's actually a store pick. Single barrel Caribou Crossing, coming from Sazerac. If you didn't know that, that's the parent company of Buffalo Trace. Toasted Peerless, I've heard great things about that, and if you haven't tried this James E. Pepper yet, it is a great barrel proof option, and for $65 it's pretty affordable. Full proof $17.92, $57.99. Jefferson's single barrel $61.99, and then down here we've got their own single barrel pick from Old Elk and a wheated Monk's Road, which is a pretty good price on Monk's Road from what I've seen. We're gonna go, I think, with the Hancocks today. So, walking out with that. Looks like they had a tag for Blantons, but that is gone. $73.98. Sazerac Rye, $34.98. And then OKI Bottle and Bond. The OK and the I stands for Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana. For those of you who don't know, that comes in at $61.99. And then as we get over here, regular old Buffalo Trace, $27.98. That is a great price that you're not going to always find that here in Kentucky or really around the country right now. So $27.98, that's not a bad buy, but it's all one per customer when it comes to any of that Sazerac or Buffalo Trace products. So Hancock's Reserve Liquor Barn barrel pick, a single barrel, $46.98. That's a hell of a price. Some of those secondary prices are closer to $100. Sometimes closer to 150. So let's just take a look at the rest of their selection here. We've got the Irish whiskeys. You can see the Redbreast, the Yellow Spot. Yellow Spot, $129.99. Pretty good prices on all this stuff here. Willet Rye, $67.99. That is the 4-year. It looks like the Rye section as well as the Irish whiskey section. Rittenhouse Rye Bottle and Bond, $25.99. That's a great price, and that's a very underrated rye. As we look over here, you got your single malts. Bullet just put out their single malt. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button because we're going to be doing a Bullet 12-year review here on the channel here shortly. You're not going to want to miss that. Speaking of Bullet 12-year review, there it is, $59.99. MSRP right around $55, but a 12-year-old rye whiskey for $60 right there. It's not a bad buy. Well, let's look at what else they've got. So you've got your ryes from Smoke Wagon, the single malts, as well as the straight rye, the Bottle and Bond, the Jefferson's Ocean Rye, Blue Run Emerald Rye, $107.98. And you get to the West Henderson Blackened, $109.99. That's one of the better prices I've seen on the West Henderson. Clyde Mays, that's out of Alabama. Russell's 6 Reserve. We've even got the Russell's Single Barrel Rye for $63.99. That's a heck of a buy right there. $34.99 on the Jack Daniel's Bonded. And then Templeton Rye, $28.99.
We did have one. But yeah, the main thing is, I mean,
moving this way,
one of these.
we got the Japanese Single Malt, Bardstown. Great prices on that Bardstown Origin Series, $47.99 on the white label, $49.99 on the bib. Magnus, Fox and Odin really starting to pick up. Penelope, Old Pepper, the Bottle and Bond, Horse Soldier, Kentucky Silk, which I believe is a Liquor Barn only brand. We talked about that in the last bourbon hunt at the Liquor Barn out there in Louisville. Castle and Key. If that was the wheated, I'd say buy it, but that's the regular bourbon. Not a huge fan of the regular bourbon. Monk's Road, $69.99 for the regular bourbon next to the Lawrenceburg. Blom Brothers Rye Whiskey, that is a very underrated pour. And then you get to your thrifties on the bottom. So now we got the Michter's line, right at 50 bucks where it should be. Wilderness Trail, Barrel Armida. We also have the next review coming up from Barrel, which is their Mizunara cask, which just got released the other day. Flatboat, we bought that at the last Liquor Barn, 125 proof. And Holiday, love to see that this is now a 7-year age statement. It used to be a 6, right at $59.99. Green River, it's always a great thrifty pour, and for $34.99, hard to beat that. If you're looking for Weller, that is a wheated bourbon as well, probably better, and it's coming at the same proof at 90 proof. Broken Barrel, don't sleep on them. Jim Beam, of course. Then you get to the Jack Bonded, $33.99. If you're looking for the Jack 10-year, I bet you that Bonded would be a good consolation. And as you see, the regulars, shelfers. So we get to RD1, great line there. They have the Amburana, which is probably one of the better Amburanas out there. And then they've also got the oak and maple finish. Great prices on all of this. Smoke Wagon, the Halloween. Frank August Bourbon, 75 bucks. That's a very good pour. It's one of my favorite pours out there right now. Very underrated and slept on. Old Forester Whiskey Row Series. Pricing here, very similar to Liquor Barn up there in Louisville that we took a drive to a couple weeks ago, and you can find that video right now in the top right. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more of those bourbon hunts down the road. We're going to Bullet right there, the 10-year, $47.99. That's great value. This is one of my favorites. Prices are going a little higher, but the big deal there is it's still very affordable and approachable. Now here's all the single barrels that he was talking to me about. 2XL. Well, he said this is their single barrel shelf, but not all of these are single barrels. The rabbit hole is Old Elk 10-year wheated. Old Louisville really starting to pop up, and there's that K. Luke for 120 bucks. Liquor Barn Chosen picks, and that's $200. Not a huge fan of how Blue Run's single barrels are all around that $200 price point. Peerless, that's the single barrel, that is $110. Liquor Barn single barrel Peerless is at $85. Driftless Glen really starting to pop up. That is the Bourbon de Naranja, which is finished in orange wine or orange infused sherry barrels, excuse me. Murray Hill, that's the blended. Old Ezra 7-year, that's a very good price at $85. It used to be a lot cheaper, but MSRP has really jumped over the last 2 years. Penelope Rosé casks. Don't sleep out on Asheville Barrel Company either, it's 75 bucks. Stranahan's, we talked with one of the guys over on the podcast a couple of months ago. You want to check those guys out. And then we get to the McKenna and Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond. McKenna right at $70, which is MSRP here in Kentucky. Flatboat single barrel, also Overholt. The old Overholt come out, their newest release coming out from Jim Beam, $42. Pretty interesting buy, something that I've kept an eye on, might be grabbing here soon, but not today. Starlight Cigar Batch Amburana, 85 bucks. Evan Williams single barrel, which was Kentucky only, but I have seen that it's popped up in a couple of states throughout the Midwest lately at even a cheaper price. I know Jewel Osco in Chicago just posted that they've got it for $35, but this is pretty much a Kentucky only bottle now, except for some of the excess barrels that they've been putting out there for other states. You got Johnny Drum, excuse me, which is a good buy as well. And then your Jack Daniel's single barrel picks. One of my favorite parts of the Liquor Barn experience is you can sip and shop, and look what they just put out there. Blanton straight from the barrel, 1 ounce for $25. So if you're trying to try something that's pretty rare, you've got the Van Winkle line. You got Old Rip Van Winkle, which is their 10-year version, $19.99. The Van Winkle 12 years, so the Lot B, $26.99. Stag Junior, $14.99. If you're trying to get a sip of Blantons, it's only $6.99. You're not going to find a bar in the really city that's going to have that anything less than 15. Old Fitz Decanter, that's the 8-year, $14.99. But look what they got down here. It's also one of the better prices for a pour of those rare bottles. We're talking straight rye Taylor at $13.99. But look at the Stag, $35 for the handy. Traveler whiskey, if you want to try it, it's $5.99, but you can see it's hidden in the back and nobody really wants to try that. But we did do a review on it. If you're interested, you can find that on the link in the top right. Eagle Rare, $6.99 a pour. They've got some good bottles here to try while you're shopping. King, Kentucky, that's a great price too for a pour. Most bars are going to have that for $150 or $100 or so. So, Liquor Barn Express, Cincinnati, well, just outside of Cincinnati in Covington on 3rd Street. Great selection, great prices. Ooh, even the Four Roses sampler pack right there, $140. But pretty happy that we were able to grab a Hancock's Reserve, and at that price, really hard to beat, $46.98. Oh, and before I forget, I know I've had a couple of people ask about the tequila selection, so let's give a once over of that. I do have a bottle of this Addictivo tequila that I got from Brad Travis, my old boss. He's got a YouTube page about weather for North Alabama, so if you're interested in that. This tequila, Corazon, sometimes you'll see those finished within the casks from Buffalo Trace, whether that's LW or WLW, the William LaRue Weller, sometimes they're Blantons. Oh, here we go. Here's one I was just talking about, the WLW, the William LaRue Weller bourbon barrels finished. So that's $37.99. Maestro, $46, and then you've got the Anejo for $44.99. So, for those of you looking for tequila. Oh, and here's even the Rolling Fork rum cask too. So 10-year single barrel.
And then El Tesoro is $54 on the shelf.
Okay.
Right next to the Rolling Fork.
Yep.
Right here.
Right here.
This is $54 on the shelf. I just don't have a tag on it.
$54 on the shelf. So, Liquor Barn Express, Covington, Kentucky, 3rd Street. Great selection for what would be considered a smaller store. And the prices are great as well. And one quick glance over at the Scotch for those Scotch drinkers. I'm not a huge Scotch fan, but we're trying to get into it. Okay, so there you have it. Liquor Barn Express, just outside of the city of Cincinnati, Covington, Kentucky. There's the Brent Spence Bridge, which is right over the Ohio River. Walked away with a Hancock's Reserve Liquor Barn single barrel store pick after paying for tax. Comes out to be just about $50. Really hard to beat that deal. We're going to be doing more bourbon hunts here on this channel, more bourbon reviews, as well as more of those distillery interviews. One cool one coming up as well that you're not going to want to miss. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Remember, it's always whiskey weather. Just please remember to drink responsibly. Cheers, y'all.